Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb.
This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
I know my parents loved me, stand behind me, come what may. I know now that I'm ready, yeah. For I finally heard him say, it's a different world, ooh, than where you come from. Yes, it is now, yeah. Here's our chance to make it. And if we progress on our goal, you can decide, we can take it. Hey, just remember that you and too. It's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world than where you come from. Ooh, than where you come from.
If you do not know that theme song, you've been hiding under a rock. It's the theme song from one of my all-time favorite TV shows, It's a Different World. Shout out to my girl, my Detroit sister, Aretha Franklin. A Different World is an American sitcom and spinoff of another one of my favorite shows, The Cosby Show, that aired for 6 seasons on NBC from September 24th, 1997 to July 9th, 1993. The series originally centered on Denise Huxtable. That was everybody's crush back in the day, a.k.a. Lisa Bonet. And the life of students at Hillman College, a fictional historically black college. Shout out to all the HBCUs, historically black college in Virginia. It was inspired by student life at historically black colleges and universities. I'm so excited that one of the former cast members of A Different World has joined me in the BalmShelter to talk about the show and her upcoming project. Who am I talking about? Charnele Brown. Who is Charnele Brown? She is in the building. She is in the building. All the way from East Hampton, New York City.
Yes.
What's up, Sister Charnele? Welcome to the BalmShelter. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. We all, I mean, you got amazing accolades. Of course, you went to State University of New York at New Paltz, where you studied acting with some amazing people. You starred in one of my favorite Broadway musicals about apartheid in South Africa, which starred Serafina, one of my favorite shows. But we all know you, homegirl, as Kimberly Reese on NBC's A Different World, who was one of the most relatable characters during the run of the show, striving for educational perfection. And I must say, you added a whole bunch of chocolate to that light-skinned, and I got degrees, I can say light-skinned folks on that show. We are so happy that you are joining us in the Sound Bombing Studios, and we know that you're currently living in Houston, and you created a company called Tri-Wen, a production company created with singing sensation Andre. Is it Petrie? Did I?
Petrie.
Oh, Petrie. Okay, I jacked the brother's name up.
Yeah.
So hearing that song, I know I think there were 3 songs in the season.
Yeah, 3 of them, exactly.
And I think Big Riri, Aretha Franklin brought it down.
Yeah, but Phoebe Snow was nice too, though. Phoebe had that nice vibe.
Was that the first one?
Bohemian vibe. The first one was Phoebe Snow. Yeah,
that was a little laid back. But I
think
that, and there were 3 songs for those that are trying to check our trivia out there. But I love number 2. When you hear that song, Charnele, what feelings or what arises in you, though?
You know, it takes me to a great place. It takes me to a good place in my life. You know, that back then when actors were really actors, and we were really supportive of one another, and That's what we're taught. I mean, back in the day about acting, we're all a family, and you come together and you work together and you love together, and that's it. So you don't have it as much anymore today. It's coming back, but it's not as much. And so it's nice to see and to hear. When I hear that song, it just feels good. It's like a family,
well,
and we protected each other, supported each other.
Well, I agree with that. And let me just admit, in 1987, I was still in high school, homegirl. But let me tell you, when I was in college at Grambling State University in Louisiana, we would rush home to watch this TV show because we were excited about the characters. But I must admit, I would rush home because every now and then you'll see a Morehouse jersey, you will see a Grambling State University, you'll see them sliding in some AKAs, some Delta Sigma Thetas. They would shout out a lot of these different organizations and colleges. So that really got me excited. But before we jump into a different world, I want to ask you, when did you first fall in love with acting?
Second grade. Second grade. I always tell people, God always gives you your desire when you're born.
Yes.
And you just have to find out what your desire is and then work at it, and he'll come halfway with you. But you got to find a desire. And I always tell people something that you'll do for free. Because the money will follow. Something you'll do for free is your desire. Something that you love that much that you know that God will make a way, and you're doing what you love.
So what role did you have in second grade? Were you a tree?
Something it's interesting. In second grade, what I did was I went beyond a tree. What I did was I'm dating myself, but back then Lassie was the show to watch. He was this collie dog, and he would save the day. And one day he didn't come back the time allotted for the time that was going off, and I thought that the darn dog had died, and so I started crying. And so I said, oh my God, I can make myself cry remembering bad things. Didn't know that was, Stanislavski method. I had no idea in second grade. So what do? I go to my class. We used to go to see the ducks at the pond every Friday. Quite boring. And so that Friday we went, and I started remembering Lassie, and I started crying. And Miss White, I remember, she was like, what's the matter? And, with Stanislavski being that I'm young, I didn't think it through. And so I said, my God, my brother died in the pond. Well, mind you, I had no brothers. I had one sister. And so they went back, to the classes. They gave me candy, everything. It was incredible. But when I came home, I was so convincing that Miss White had called my mom, and my mom, she was like, I'm so sorry that I took Charnel to the pond. She was like, what's wrong with the pond? She was like, I'm sorry about your son. My mom was like, what son? Your son that died in the pond. Well, needless to say, I got the whipping of my life. But my mom and dad realized that there's something there. If she can convince a teacher and kids, an objective she had to get candy and to leave the pool, the little pond area. And so we thought either I was going to be a pathological liar or an actor. So they started putting me in classes, and that's how it started.
Well, it's interesting you use that term because Chandra Rhimes, straight out of my homegirl from Chicago, who's been producing TV, she talks about being a great liar, and I think that sort of plays.
We're great liars.
But I would have hated dating you. Believe me, if you just start crying and like,
oh my God, I was so good at it.
Locked up.
I was so good at it, and so that's what I knew then. That was my passion. That was my desire.
So, what was your first acting job? I mean, not that you were paid for, but second grade is when you discovered it. What role did you have? Did you do something in school or further down the line?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I did a lot, but it was one place that I did because I'm from East Hampton, and it was Guys and Dolls. Hello Dolly.
Good.
And they
show.
couldn't. Yeah, it was good, and I was Dolly, but they couldn't really find a African American to play opposite me. And so what they did was they had a couple of people, but they
hold up. Where the heck were you living? You couldn't find. First of all, let's back up. You talked about ducks. What school had ducks with And then you said,
I'm from East Hampton. Oh, yeah, I'm from East Hampton, Long Island. I'm from the Hamptons.
When people hear this, they got to understand, not Hampton University in Virginia.
No.
Because when you said Ducks Pond, couldn't find a black, you couldn't find a custodian. Nobody could play the opposite of you. What world were you
But the thing is, we did find someone. We finally found someone. And it was great. But the thing is this, just having to find it. There was no option for me. My parents always taught me to be the best. And we're kings and queens. And so it never riled me. I was like, do what you have to do because I'm going to be Dolly, regardless. Find someone. And so they did. And so that was my first, big, thing for high school that I did. But there's a lot of little ones. I was in Rumpelstiltskin and, cute stuff like that, where I wasn't a tree, but I was something like that. I was an object.
So,
it was wonderful. I was so happy about being an object.
Where did that confidence come from? You said, this play is typically Europeans, and you said, I don't care. I'm going to get
I don't care.
Where did that confidence come from?
My mom and dad. I mean, they've always taught me since I was little that we were African Americans were special, and that we've come from a long line of kings and queens and a long line of inventors, and when you have that instilled in you, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter. And I think what I find interesting is the white people, when they know, life's easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
when you know, and you don't have to say a word. You can I walk into a room, and they know, she knows who she is. And so I don't have to be calling her names. So it doesn't bother me. I know who I am. God's child first. And then I come from kings and queens. I mean, we're some bad people. We're amazing.
We are some bad folks. You would say
yes,
that.
We are.
I was just in Chicago at one of my favorite stores, and there was a shirt. I love to go in and buy T-shirts for my children and for myself. Mm-hmm. And there was a T-shirt that says, "Melanin has superpowers," and you just solidified that by saying being a dark complected. And we're going to talk about that. What that means. Growing up in East Hampton, your parents provided you with some serious confidence.
Oh yes.
And I have a dark daughter. My daughter Hadaya, my oldest. And I remember having to have that conversation with her about her complexion, her skin color. She loves India Arie. She's a performer. And so India Arie, her music really soothed her as a young, she's 16 now. But I think your parents did an amazing job of doing that. So you come from a theater background.
I do. My great grandfather was in the Chitlin Circuit back when it was called the Chitlin Circuit, and it would go from churches to churches. He was heavily involved, and so I found out that's where it jumped to me.
Wow. You didn't have to eat any chitlins for that role, though you?
No, I'm not into that chitlin thing.
but so it is, as Kendrick Lamar said, it's in your DNA. So you got it from your grandfather.
It's in my DNA.
So then how did you transition from theater background to taking on a role like A Different World? Walk us through the process of auditioning or getting the call to audition for the role of Kimberly Reese, because you come from a theater background. And I know Denzel Washington always talks about how it was hard going from theater, live theater to TV.
Definitely.
What was that like?
Definitely. Well, actually, I'm like Forrest Gump. I don't know any better, and so I just jump in. And so I was doing Serafina, and we were on our way to South Africa to tour, which was my dream. Because I'm a theater baby. I just love theater. I thought that I would end up on Broadway forever and live in New York. And so when I got Serafina and we were going to tour, we were like, oh my God, this is great. And then all of a sudden, this came up, from my managers, by the way, told me my skin color wasn't in. And I told them to call me back when it was. And so 2 weeks later, they called me back and told me your skin color's in.
Now I want you to explain that to some people that don't understand what that means. That your skin.
Yeah, back in the day, back in the day, the entertainment sect was they wanted somebody closer toward white, so they dealt with a lot of light skinned women and men. Not a problem. That's your preference. That's your preference. Didn't bother me, because I knew my time would come. And so, we dealt, if you notice, it was a lot of, light-skinned people on television. And so my white little managers were honest with me, which I loved. They were like, well, they're not looking for any dark-skinned, melanin women right now. So I said, fine, thank you. And I told them, call me back, when, it comes around again. And they were very surprised that I wasn't insulted, because I'm God's child. If he told me what's going to happen, it's just going to happen. And so I don't waver. And so 2 weeks later, I got a call to do A Different World. And at that time, I wanted to go to South Africa. That is my dream, to go to South Africa to soak up the culture and, where I'm from, find out, my relatives. It was just a wonderful thing I wanted to do. And so I went into the audition and I really didn't care, and I tell my students that, you don't go in desperate, because I didn't go in desperate because I was like, I'm going to South Africa in like a couple of weeks. So who cares? And so I went into the audition. I didn't pay any mind. They said, you got to call back. I still didn't pay any mind. Then they said, we're flying you to LA. Then I started paying some attention to it. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to LA, for this screen test. And so when I was in LA and I was there, you see all these suits and everything. It was something different for me. And, I was doing Kim role, and each time I would hear this white guy laugh. And each time I got pissed. I was like, let me do my role. Why are you laughing? It's not funny. And so each time I was doing that, I was getting angrier and angrier. Come to find out, it was Brandon Tartikoff. and he's the one that picked me for Kim. Yeah.
So when you did the audition, were you still on the road in South Africa? Were you sitting in?
No, I didn't go. We were still on Broadway. So right from Broadway, I left to move to LA. I never went. It was either go to South Africa or go to LA, and I decided to go to LA. So
what was it about A Different World? Why did you want to be involved in this particular production? Was it something unique about it?
No, to be honest, we're gypsies. We're all actors. I knew nothing about, I watched The Cosby Show. Matter of fact, I was an extra on it, and I loved it. And when this came about, I didn't think anything of it because we're theater babies. And so it wasn't, to us, it wasn't relevant. It was a gig. So we had no idea, that this would change people's lives and have to think about going to college. And thank God we didn't know that because we didn't have social media back then. We probably would have failed. We would have, been so, pressured into making things right that we didn't know. So we were just doing our job. We were just having fun and, creating this fictitious college.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it because when people make history, many of them, their goal is not to make history. Their goal is just to do it. And I think that we become somewhat full of ourselves when we do say our goal is to increase the number of African Americans to go to college, which happened. Our goal is to increase the number of Black viewers on TV, which happened. Our goal is to increase the number of diverse group of people, the images and the backgrounds they look at. And it all happened. But it happened because it was supposed to happen. It happened because it was supposed to happen. So let's talk about the character Kimberly Reese. Is there anything about Kimberly Reese that is Charnele Brown?
Yeah. I pulled from me. I am quite anal. So I can the parallel between me and Kim. But unlike Kim, she's had a couple of mishaps on the show. I am fickle. I'm clumsy. I'm all those things. I'm quirky. I'm just not Kim. Kim was very defined. She had a goal, and she had to. My backstory, because you always have to have a backstory, and I created it. My brother was really wonderful, and I had to prove to my parents, being a female, that was wonderful too. So it was pressure on her. And so she was always, in a situation, her objective was to make it out of there and do great, and do great. And that was her focus. With me, no. I am, no, far from that. And that was,
was there anything that you disliked about the character at all?
Yes, I did. I thought she was quite boring.
Did you? I
thought, I was like, my God, will she ever smile? I mean, she's always working, and she's always the voice of reason. And I'm like, and I didn't like it, until later on, and people were saying, well, I can relate to Kim. I was like, really? You can relate to her? They're like, yeah, because she was, she was average. She was this woman that was going through college, and trying to make it right, and is very intelligent young lady, trying to make it right, and to see the good in everyone. And Kim did that. She saw the good in everyone. I mean, she didn't take any mess, but she did see the good in everyone.
Anything that you
love?
About
Whitley.
Yeah, I know Whitley. What did you love? What did you love about her? Anything that you loved about her character? That's
what I loved about her. That she saw good in everybody. Everybody was innocent before proven guilty, and that's very rare these days. And I think that Kim was that. And Kim, when she's a friend, she's loyal, very loyal. Very loyal friend.
She was definitely loyal, especially to a character playing opposite of Whitley. Now you didn't attend an HBCU, correct?
I did not.
So how did that feel being on quote unquote a fictional HBCU campus and you did not attend an HBCU? Was that awkward for you?
No, because once again, I mean, I'm into my Blackness. I'm into, loving on each other. I'm into, somebody told me one time, you're in a bubble. And it was when I knew when I grew up, when I, went to college, I was like, I thought everybody was like me. I thought everybody, was, into who they were and knew who they were. So that was a rude awakening. But but on the set, no, because it was just, it was fun to relive something that I never did.
Yeah, it
was kind of fun.
Man, that was my. Let me just tell you, if there's a time in my life that I can repeat all over again, but it has to have the same people. But I need to have a different mindset. Like I was, like I'm about to call you Kim. You know that, like I'm about to say Kim.
That's okay.
But I was, I hung out with the cast that was smoking weed. I hung out with the cast that were very conscious. I hung out with the jocks. I hung out with the cute girls. I hung out with the girls who were sleeping with everybody. I hung out with the thugs. I was sort of this well-balanced character. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, went to a predominantly white school. And HBCU was where I wanted to go when I discovered Grambling State University. I really wanted to go to Morehouse, but I looked at my mother's bank account and I looked at my grades and there wasn't no haps. So the closest thing I could get, not saying that Grambling was like a second, whatever.
No, this is great too.
But in our family, we promote HBCUs. My wife went to Bowie State. My 16-year-old daughter, Howard, is at the top. Spelman is second. North Carolina A&T and FAMU. And so they were babies growing up on these college campuses.
Wonderful.
To see this show to really, really help me deal with some. I mean, you guys dealt with a whole lot of issues. I remember. I'll never forget one of my favorite by far. And we're gonna talk about one of your clips, but one of my favorite episodes, and it's still when I'm about to mention it, it sort of brings chills to my body. It was the scene when Whitley and Dwayne Wayne when Whitley was about to get married, and Dwayne checked in, and I'll never forget that scene. He says, "Baby, no." And man, I remember being in the house.
Baby, please.
I remember being in the house with like some of my girls from school, and I jumped in like I was like one of the girls, like I'm screaming like losing it, like go for it, Dwayne, go for it.
That's one of my favorites too.
Oh man,
it's just this pure love.
And that's what it was, because you think about being in college and you think about when you swore that you were in love or when you finished school and Whitley was going. Is there a favorite? Did you have a favorite scene? Because
I know, because I don't have a favorite scene, but I have a favorite moment when I met oh God, what she's gonna kill? She's Lena Horne.
Oh yes, Lena Horne.
When she came on the set, I was in awe. I got a chance to sit down and talk with her, and she encouraged me, and it was just so beautiful. And she told me to keep doing what I'm doing and keep the because she saw, that I knew who I was, and so it was a beautiful moment that I had with her. But that was the best. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that.
And you guys had so many people. Who are some of the people that came on the show that you were just like, I can't believe this little brown girl from East Hampton. So Lena Horne. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, Diane Carroll. My dad played Shaft. Yes.
When then we had Superfly, who played Whitley's dad. Then we had Robert Leon. That was incredible. I mean, we had some incredible people. I can't even name them. They came through so quick. I mean, Tupac, Criss Cross. I mean, Tisha Campbell.
Man, that list goes. So, since we're talking about favorite scenes, I'm going to play one of my favorite clips from the show, and I want to get your response to it. So here we go.
Okay.
Oh, I wish I were in the land of cotton, old time there and unbegotten. Look away, Dixieland. Oh, I wish I were in Dixie, away in Dixieland. I take my stand to live and die in Dixie. So in the kitchen with Dinah, so in the kitchen I know. Yowza, I don't know nothing about birth and no babies. Oh, baby, yowza.
So that's one of my favorite scenes from A Different World that really showed your theater background. It showed your voice, how powerful your voice was. I know you did another scene when you were this diva. That's a whole nother conversation. When you just out that mammy scene and what that actually meant to you, and whose idea was that?
Okay, I think it was the writer's idea, and I think it was Debbie's idea to do something different. Let me tell you something about very interesting about that Mammy show. Actually, when we were in the reading it, a table read, and everybody was very upset, about why do we have Charnel? That's not cool, and I didn't understand why they were upset because I don't know that. I don't know. I didn't know it. I don't know the hurt and the pain of being dark skinned. I don't know that. I mean, I've never felt it before in my life, and so I didn't understand. And then I talked to Jasmine about it, and I told her, I said, I didn't have any problems like this. I mean, that wasn't really in my growing up. And so, but she told me that, her growing up, that she suffered being light-skinned, that the dark-skinned women would, not torture her, but really, say nasty things and terrible things about her. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what? And so, it's coming from both ways. And that's that good old Willie Lynch letter, that is still happening today. And so what I did was I used her pain of what she went through, because I've never gone through anybody saying, you're black. Yeah, I mean, and somebody who said, you're black, thank you. You're dark, thank you. Because out of dark comes light.
Yes.
Without us, you can't be where you are.
So in that scene, in that scene when it ends, when Whitley comes to you, and she says, how and why, Kim, and you said, because of you, that was real. That was real.
It's real because of you.
Wow.
Yeah. She shared her experience because, as with acting, you have to pull from somewhere. Acting is real. You have to pull. And I didn't want to make it up because I never had to deal with that. And I'm sure it was where I lived, but I did not pay attention to it because it wasn't. The bottom line is, my dad always told me, don't let anybody take your power that God gave you.
Yes.
And in order for someone not to take your power, don't entertain it. And people always say, when you go into a room, you don't look at anybody. Why should I? I'm not there for them. I'm there for me.
Girl, you are inspiring some listeners right now. So you mentioned somebody who I was in love with. Her name is Debbie Allen. She's a Howard University grad, and her beautiful sister, Felicia Rashad.
Yes.
So what was it like working with Debbie Allen, and what's the best advice she's ever given you?
She was hard. She was very hard. She was very straight. Oh, yeah. And that's why, because of Debbie Allen, is why I'm teaching today. Because I thought I would never teach kids, or adults. I'm like, what do I know? I'm just surviving. But the teachings of her, what I've learned from her, one thing I've learned from her is that, you have to make sure that you know that you're good. So when you do a scene or you do something, don't let the hype get to you. Someone say, oh, you're wonderful. If you don't feel you're wonderful, you're not wonderful. Just thank you and move on. Because people believe in the hype. Maybe I was good. No, you're not. So you have to know that you're good. You have to go in knowing, do your homework, know that you're good. And then in self, that's how you stay grounded. Because if people keep telling you, you're wonderful, you don't search, be better. And so you'll stay right where you are, and it's all falsehood. Wow. That's what I've learned from her.
I love Debbie Allen. I could see how stern she was. I watched an episode where she talked about why Denise wound up leaving the show. Of course, the whole situation with Lenny Kravitz, and now they have Zoe. And how Mr. Cosby at the time, Bill Cosby, was like, yo, she's pregnant. Denise is not pregnant. And so we pulled her off the show. So, of course, Mr. Cosby played a big role in this creation of this show, and the Cosby Show. And I'm sure you've been asked thousands and thousands of times, what are some of your reactions to what's happening to a mentor that was a mentor to many of you guys with Mr. Cosby?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's still a mentor. Love him. It's unfortunate. I think there's no win on both ends of it. But what I won't do is I will not negate the fact that man has done a lot for us.
Yes.
Whether he has, he has to deal with his demons, I'm not going to stop loving him, and I'm not going to stop respecting him for his work. What he does behind closed doors is his business. He just got caught.
And I love your approach when you said us, because I felt like I was included in that us. When you said us, I didn't think you were talking about the cast. I felt the images because I know watching the Cosby Show, being a researcher. I mean, what brother has Dr. Alvin Poussaint, a psychologist on staff, to then to go in to pick the images? So I feel like that I'm not going to demonize this guy. And and you can have your opinions, but I love how you approached it. You said, I learned a lot. He's done a lot, not only just giving back, but what he does. I'm not supporting that, but what he's done for people of color, and not just people of color, folks
everywhere,
he's employed individuals, of course.
And so dangerous too about people have to understand that he is a man. He is not Dr. Hustable. That's a character that he portrayed. And so people took it on as if he was that. He's not that. He's a good actor. That's what he did. So you have to separate the two. And I think that people don't know how to separate. Oh my God, the dad of, he's not your dad. That was a show that he did. And I have to say this too, that all of these people, especially the black colleges, I'm very disappointed because you took his name down, you took all the stuff down. Well, give back his money.
Yeah. Let me tell you,
if you denounced him,
I know doggone well those schools aren't giving that money back.
Yeah, but you took him down. Give back his money.
You're right about that. So we hope the best for both parties, the females that were involved, Mr. Cosby, and also everybody else.
Exactly. Everybody else that's involved.
And so
I feel for those women. I feel for his wife. I feel for everybody. It's just a no-win situation, and I hope those ladies heal. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
So what has the reunions been like? Meeting Ron, back up with Ron and Whitley and Dwayne.
Well, we talk anyway, so it's not like we don't. I talk to Jazz all the time. That's my lady. We call her Princess.
Yeah. Man, folks be in love with Jasmine Guy, boy. But but let me tell you, I loved you because you were just a beautiful sister. I mean, that skin glowing. But let me tell you who I really had a crush on because she was so quirky. Man, Freddie, I just loved Freddie. I
had a crush on Freddie. That character was the most adorable character in the world.
I think she was. I mean, and it's interesting because Freddie's character is like what you're seeing now. Like when I look at my daughter as an artist, when I look at other I mean, you're seeing Freddie's all over the place. And she was this quirky character, but she was very conscious. See, because that's how I grew up. Very conscious. She was concerned about women. She was concerned about animals.
Everything.
She was concerned about foods.
What concerned about the world.
The world. And you have, it's funny because you have those people. When people say that HBCUs are not diverse, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because you look at everybody on that cast. You look at you who struggled because you said your brother and you had to do this. You look at Freddie who come from this world. You look at Whitley who was privileged. You look at like a Dwayne Wayne that was sort of like blue collar. You look at Ron, who was like the ladies' man, but then also I love the scene when they dealt with the issue around race and racism with the white guys.
Right, that was good.
And you dealt with so many, and then you got the young crew coming in, Jada, who's from Baltimore, talking about Tupac. And so you talk about diversity. So when people say that there's no diversity on HBCs, I don't know what the heck they're talking about.
I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, also the people will talk because they want to talk. That's why I tell people, I tell my kids, don't believe the hype. Don't believe anything anybody says. Do your research. I tell my kids, there's no reason for you to be dumb. You have a phone.
Oh, you are so
You can
right.
Google anything. You can Google anything you want. There's no reason for you not knowing.
So let's talk about what you are doing since we're talking about research, and I had to research you, homegirl. Let's talk about Tri-Wen Productions. First of all, let's start with the name, Tri-Wen Productions.
When you try, you win.
Yes.
Always.
Always. Got to make an effort, right?
Always.
So what are some things that you guys are doing with the Tri-Wen Productions?
Well, right now, we're doing we're producing a play in August 4th, one night only in Beaumont, Texas, at the Julie Rogers Theater. And it's a play called Never Play with a Woman's Heart. And it's a friend of mine, Danis S. Hubbard. He's out of Newport News, Virginia. And he's a playwright, and he's an author. And he's bringing this play down, and he was kind enough to allow some of my students to be in it as well because I teach classes. and my actors are divas. They're amazing. And so we're doing that, and I have an acting school down here that I teach children and scene study and everything down here. 80% of my actors are working, which is a blessing. And also, too, it's so many things are going on. Actually, we're working on getting financing for a film that I penned called The Coffee Pot, which was called Coffee Patch, but nobody understood what that meant, so we changed it.
So explain why you changed the title. I know we talked about it off air. Why did you change
we
the title?
talked about it. Actually, we did a research in Atlanta, New York, and here, and to see what they would go see. And so, like, two people from here, would go see Coffee Patch. And the other one said Coffee Pot. And I said, why not Coffee Patch? They said, because we don't know what that is. And they don't want to, appear dumb to have to look up a title. If you have to look up a title, they got to go see something else. Coffee Pot, they like Coffee Pot. I said, why? They said, because coffee. They can relate to coffee. I said, And I thought, like I was telling you, the color purple has nothing to do with the issue of the story. It was just color purple flowers. It works. And so we turned it into the Coffee Pot. Also, too, I'm on KCOH radio. I have a segment called Defining Your Journey with my life coach, Jean-René Simon Vaughn. And we're on there on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. And then we're in the process with the mayor to get a theater on the north side of Houston, which we don't have, in one of our incredible historical areas called Acres Home. And so we're working on that as well.
I love Houston. I mean, it's a huge city. That traffic is insane.
Love Houston. I love Houston.
So congratulations on all the things that you're doing. So what do you do when you're not doing theater?
I take care of my mommy. My mom has Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
And, so I have 4 hours during the day with a caretaker to get all my stuff in. And then after that, my mom is my priority. And what I love about it is I've had my mom now for 10 years. And 11 years, and that's why people don't understand why they thought I dropped out, or I didn't think that I could plug it. No, she was my priority. I had to take care of my mom first. And what my God did, our God did, is that when I was taking care of her, he allowed me to still stay in the business as far as teaching. And so now I have my own business teaching, and so eventually he'll allow me to get back on camera and on film and stuff like that, but that was my priority.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. It's interesting because I was with Dougie Fresh a while ago, and he talked about his mom having Alzheimer's, and I'm glad that you're able to act and take care of your mom. It's interesting, when I posted on Facebook that I was going to be interviewing you, of course, people said, I said, what questions would you ask her? And they said, well, where have you been? It's interesting when people don't follow. Like Bill Duke is one of my mentors, so I love Bill Duke.
I love Bill Duke.
I sat down with him, and he loves me because I said something funny about his famous line from Menace to Society, and the famous line where he said, "You fucked up. You real fucked up." That's like his famous line. And he says, out of all the things I've done, why is that the only thing that people remember about me? But he went on to say that why do people think I'm not working? Because they're not seeing me. And he says that he's learning to be behind the camera more so than being in front of the camera. And so I love that you're taking care of mom, that you're still taking care of yourself. And since you're taking care of mom, we're going to take you back to being a young person growing up in East Hampton. If you could tell your young acting self anything, what would it be?
You know something? I have no regrets. Keep on doing what you're doing. None. I wouldn't change a thing.
I love no regrets. I love. So how do you want the world to be different? Because Charnel, I want to keep calling you Kim, right? How do you want the world to be different because you lived in it? Something. The bottom line is, it's a couple of things, two things. As African Americans, we're not going to progress, and we're not going to get respect, and the police are not going to stop killing us until we love each other, until we come together as a whole. We're the only race that does not support one another. You just think about that. We're the only ones that don't support one another. We're so scattered. We're all over the place. We're looking for the American dream that the white people have told us that you have to aspire to be, and we're forgetting about loving each other. We don't. Our households are broken. Our guys are not following through, and our women are not following through what they need to do if they have children.
It's all this stuff is crazy because, I always say Black Lives Matter. It does matter, but we have to make sure that Black Lives matter within ourselves.
Wow.
If we don't feel like it matters, they're going to keep doing what they're doing because they're realizing that we're not together, and they know we're not. So they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep doing it, and until we respect ourselves as a race, everything is going to continue to keep doing what it's doing.
Well said. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for my mom being here. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for being alive because I always say that, when you get up in the morning, you have a 50-50 chance to get it right. Some people didn't wake up this morning. So always people ask me, how are you doing? I'm alive. That's enough said. Whether I have a bad day or a good day, at least I have a bad day, I can speak about it. You're 6 feet under, you can't speak about it. Mm-hmm. It's just as simple as that. Thank you. I'm alive, to carry out my purpose, my desire.
So what is the most difficult decision you've had to make to pursue your destiny?
I would think, it's lonely. You have to, everybody can't come with you. So, there's seasons that people are in your lives, and you just hope to God that somebody's in your life for the rest of your life. But there's seasons, and I always tell people, you can tell when you're starting to get to your next level. It's like an onion; things are being peeled, and it hurts. That layer hurts. It hurts because you want that person to be with you. It gets lonely, when you get to where you have to be, where your desire is, where God wants you.
It's interesting you would say that. Erykah Badu, shout out to E. Badu, another HBCU.
Hey, Erykah.
Went to Grambling State University, lives in Texas, from Dallas. There's a song where she in the intro, she talks about, I'm human, but when I'm on the road, I miss my mama. I want my mama. She talks about being, being alone, and I don't think that we have those opportunities to really dive into those questions enough. And that's why I created Sound Bombing. A balm is like a healing, BALM. There's a balm in Gilead. And this show is really about healing. Of course, bringing you on, talking about the show, that's cool. But, people really want to know, at the heart of where you are. And that's why I'm asking these final questions. I call these the Sound Bombing super question because it has nothing to do about acting, but it has a lot to do about humanity and asking you what you're grateful for and those things. So I have a couple of other sound bombing super questions. What's your favorite word?
Victory.
Victory. Okay. What is the book you've given most as a gift and why?
Wow, I've given out a lot of books. Something I've given out. What is it? Oh, Jesus. Celestial. Oh God.
The Celestine Prophecy.
Yes, that's it.
See, you didn't know I was that sharp. I got you trying to check.
No, I knew. I was hoping. I was like, please help me.
It's a green book, the Celestine Prophecy.
A green book.
Yeah, a green book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We on the same page. All right. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you typically do?
I get on my knees and I pray.
Wow. What sound or noise do you love?
Birds singing.
What's your superpower?
My superpower, love.
Wow. Superpower is love. So what's next for Charnele Brown? Wow.
You know something? I'm just right now so weird because I used to be in the driver's seat and God was in the in the other seat. Now we're switched because I've hit my head enough. I'm just going where He tells me to go. I mean, the things are happening. I know that the my school is growing, which is amazing, and being on the radio, which I thought I would never be, doing that, and so He's opening up doors, that I thought I could never, ever, ever. I mean, writing, and getting a film out there, and it's just amazing. I mean, the possibilities are endless now, and so right now we're just focusing on that one show to and hopefully we'll tour it. And then I have toured other shows. I've been writing, I've been directing, I've been producing. Who knew? And I like that better than acting because I give people an opportunity to work. Me acting, I can't give any opportunity to anybody but myself. Yeah. So Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how can people get in contact with Miss Brown?
Yes, they can actually. It's Tri-Wen Productions, 22 at Yahoo. That's TRIWEN Productions with an S, 22 at yahoo.com.
Well, let me just say, Sister Brown, aka Kimberly, dreams do come true. Who would have ever thought this little brown boy from the south side of Chicago sitting on the couch listening to that theme music, waiting to see you dance across the screen, that chocolate girl from East Hampton, that I would then get an opportunity to sit down. I just want to just thank you. I pray that God gives you everything that you deserve. And I pray that your
shout out to Mark Williams.
Listen,
hey, Mark.
we cannot, because you know Mark will get on me. Man, why did you say my name? We cannot thank my man Dr. Mark Williams enough for making the introduction. He's
wonderful.
Everything he said about you is right and exact. He said, yo, D, you and Charnel are going to make an immediate connection. And when I called you and I told you I used to teach at that old crazy Yates High School, and you were like, yeah, that's a connection. We ain't going to say nothing else bad about that place.
That's right.
Because I think we both got our start there with the teaching piece. But there was a great connection. So I just want to just thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for coming to Sound Bombing and sharing your beautiful story. We pray for your mom. I know the feeling of my mom. I had family members with Alzheimer's. They're very interesting. If they're not sick, they're very funny. The things that you hear from them, I did some research on.
You never know what comes out of their mouth.
Man, you don't know.
Because my mom's a minister, and I'm getting all this stuff before she was a minister. So I'm having a ball.
You know, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. But before Mama got saved, that's what's coming out. So you enjoy that time as much as you can. I'm going to suggest to you that you record as much as you can those memories with your mother, because I mean you cannot get that back. So thank you for coming on to the show, and I want to thank my producer Darius Wilmore and Supremacy for our music.
Yes, they're the best.
And as always, believe that something wonderful is about to happen, and that some people miss the message because they are too busy looking for the mistake. Thanks for tuning in, and do something for someone other than yourself. This your man, Dr. Lamar Darnell Shields from Sound Bombing Studios, and my girl Charnele Brown. You know her as Kimberly on A Different World. Support her. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.